This is a video image sensor. We're going to show you some experiments that we've been working on with this video sensor. Over here, you'll see the output from the sensor. That's my finger blocking it right now. And we're going to take these old 8mm movie cameras here, and we're going to take a peek through them with this sensor. None of these cameras have probably seen any film in over 50 years. This one here is from 1955, 54. And we have to do a slight modification in order to get the video sensor to work inside this camera. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take and open it up. We've already removed the film gate assembly, this is the pressure plate, and it holds the film as it travels through the camera. We're not going to get into the details about the camera per se. We really want to just take a look through the lens, through the film gate, which is right here. So let's check it out. So before we get too detailed here, we wanted to show you the end results, and then we'll explain a little bit more about the techniques that we're using and the camera systems. So right now there's a power system right here that's operating the camera. We're going to put it into recording mode, so it will capture everything as we're actually doing this, hopefully. Go. It's now recording. So what we want to do is get the sensor located inside the camera assembly. And we'll do that with a little piece of Captain tape here. We'll put this tape on the back of this sensor, like so. Dress the cable inside the body of the camera. And we'll take a look at, see if we can get her lined up here. You'll see the output of the camera over here. And we need to fight with this tape a little bit to get this to go in just the right way. And you'll see the alignment start to come into play here. And then we'll gently press the tape to hold the sensor into the film gate. And then we're going to take this cable here and use a little piece of blackout tape, a bunch of blackout tape. Okay, we'll put this behind the sensor to stop the light that's passing into it. So, and then we'll put another piece of tape to hold this cable in position, so that you can see the old camera having a new life here. Okay, so we'll flip him up carefully and point it at our target scene over here. See, you're a little bit out of alignment. See that edge? I can adjust it a little bit. So we're getting light leaks, so I'm going to just gently press the cover on to stop the light leak. And there you have it. 8mm movie camera. Now, the f-stop, the aperture, controls the focus, the camera. The lens does not focus. There is no focusing capabilities in these old cameras. So we will stop the f-stop down as small as we can to try to increase the focus of the image. Now, one of the interesting problems with these old cameras, since the lenses don't focus, is the sensor position is basically where the piece of film would be inside the camera. So you can kind of see, if I move it around a little bit, the focus will shift in and out. There's a focus. I just pull it off. I'll put it back on. And when I press on it, you can see the focus gets a little bit sharper. So now it's about as tight as it's going to get. So we'll put this cover back on here. Get it on the right way. And we now have a 1955 video camera. see the results here. So let's move on to another camera, and we'll show you a little bit more about how this image sensor works inside of this. So we'll take this turret lens. This is also a 1950-ish, 55, 54 camera. You have f-stop controls here. It's a turret lens. They don't focus, just like this camera, unfortunately. So you have a fixed focus on it. So what we did with this one, with this guy over here for the moment, is we took the pressure plate off of it as well. Okay, take this, move that over here, put this over here with this guy. You can just sit there and look at that for the minute. So this one, we removed the pressure plate off of it as well. You can see the film plate, and there is the opening, the port for the 8mm film to capture it. This pressure plate holds the film in position. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our sensor from this guy here and transfer it over to this camera body. And we'll carefully remove that. So there's our sensor. And we're going to see if we can get lucky here and get it in position. I'm going to remove this black electrician's tape off this Captain tape here, because it's much easier to see the alignment of the sensor to the film aperture here. So we're gonna, my hand is blocking the shot, so I don't really know how to show this to you, because it is kind of a precision positioning trick here to do this. And we'll try to turn it a little bit here so you can see a little better. You can see it from the top, maybe. I don't know. Let me just show you. Get this up here. Get that sucker so it has to be right there lined up with the film aperture. And then we look at the monitor output to see if we're getting lucky here. And it's kind of a hit and miss. There we go. Looks pretty close. The sensor takes quite a bit of abuse going through this process. There's a glass protection element on the front of the sensor, so it's a little bit more forgiving. Now you can see that we're a little bit out of alignment, so I'm going to adjust it here. It's a little bit of a tedious process, but it does eventually kind of work okay. And we're now bringing this camera to life. What's happening here is we're getting a lot of light flashing going through the system. So we're going to put this piece of tape on here to block the ambient light a little bit, and then secure this cable right here onto the camera body, like so. I'll flip it up and see what it sees here. I'm going to change the f-stop on the camera, which is f5.6 right now, so I'm going to close that down all the way to get a little more depth of field into this. And I'm going to rotate the turret. So that's the default wide-angle lens on the camera. And we'll put this cover on to stop the light from leaking into it, so we can get a little bit less flaring that's occurring right now. There we go. So that looks a little bit blurry, doesn't it? Let's try this lens here. That's the telephoto lens. See that there? Our little test pattern. That's a medium, and that's the wide angle lens. Our next camera will be the 1955 turret camera. So let's talk about this sensor for a couple minutes here. This, I'm going to remove this tape from him, like so. Put that over there. So these sensors are very tiny, and there is not much clearance inside the camera, so we got lucky. This is an HD 720p 1280 by 720 camera sensor. And the way we got this is we took one of these things, which is a key fob. It's an 808 number 16. Camera's right there, power's there, power is here, on, record, shoot, blah. So now we end up with this. And how we got to this point is we took a sensor and camera and we removed it. Now the removal of this is a bit of a challenge to get the casing off of the sensor. So if you look here real closely, you can see these 4 black points right here. And those are the case that mounts to the sensor. So you can see here the holes through it. So what we did is we took a micro drill and we drilled out these 4 little tabs. And what they actually look like, I have one here to show you, is they look like little tiny black pins that clip into the sensor. You can see, hold this up for the camera without my gloves, mucking it up. You see those little tiny points right there? And those mount onto the circuit board of the sensor. It's also glued on with an adhesive. So you drill it out and then very carefully score around it and snap off the lens cover, and you end up with the raw sensor. This is a film plate out of this camera. You can see the aperture opening for the film. So given the fact that the film thickness is such that, I'll simulate this here for you. Our film is running through, recording on one side of the film. There would be the film where the lens is focusing on it, is pretty close into that sucker. It's also interesting that they put this blackout on the other side of the film gate, which eliminates any back reflection onto the lens of the camera, which is going to be in through there. Somebody figured that out and went, that's a problem, we need to fix that. So when the sensor goes in, it's writing, because it has a thickness to it, it's writing further out on the gate than the film is. So there lies the challenge in getting the focus optimized in a camera that the lens does not focus on. So I'm going to just put this in position here to show you what it looks like. We're still live over here. You can see over on the monitor, we're feeding this sensor in right now. So there's the sensor, and then that would be its position relative to the, whoops. Okay, so we just crashed the sensor. You can see that. So we shorted it out somehow. I've done this before, and there are tiny little transistors on this guy. So you have to be very careful with it. And by the way, in the sensor category, there are other types of sensors out there. There's this one here. It's a Raspberry Pi imaging sensor, which is a full HD 1980 by 1080. And unfortunately with this one though, you can see that the side view of it, you see these transistors are sitting up above the sensor. So putting that on top of the gate would be difficult because you're going to have this Raspberry Pi type camera giving you some grief since he won't quite get this in focus there. Do that. And see the elevation is higher than the image sensor, so it's not going to sit flat on the plate. So we scratch that one. We can, however, make some modifications. We built some 3D printed plates that allowed us to mount these sensors and float them into a camera body where we can remove the plate and then float the sensor down into it a little bit. So in this particular model here, when we still have the dead sensor over here, so I guess I should come back and see if we can reboot that sucker, huh? Right here, we're monitoring the power output of the camera module device, which is this thing right here. This is a DVR. It also records, as I showed you. So what we're going to do is we're going to depower it here. Just kill the power here, and restart it, and hopefully it will come back up again. So we turn it on. And see if she boots up. It should come up here in a second if it's working, and there it is. So we got lucky on that. So it's back, and it's dirty. You will see some dust on these, unfortunately. So cleanliness is really important, and it's nice hair. You can see the hair right there. Actually, it's a fiber. If we clean this with the microfiber cloth, check that out. That is fibers on the edge of the microfiber on the sensor. So I'm going to see if I can dust that fiber off of there. Okay, there's some other specks of dust, but we'll live with that for the moment. Also, the infrared cut filter. You can't use this in daylight. This camera is actually a night vision camera because it does not have the IR cut capabilities in it. If you wanted to install an IR cut filter to use it outdoors, it would be necessary to locate this somewhere where it can be. And the only place you could do that would be on the film plate, as an example. And you would place it on the opposite side of where the sensor is so that it will be able to cut the IR and use it out in daylight. So the image sensor goes on this side and the IR cut filter would go on the other side of the plate. That's if you can remove the plate. Some cameras you cannot remove the plates on unless you do a complete disassembly. In this particular exercise that we're doing with this, we wanted to just have the ability to take a peek through the cameras and see what it looks like. So that's why we aren't doing a rapid disassembly here. So let's bring this one online and check it out. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to, again, hopefully not short out the sensor. We're going to place it onto the film gate and then attach it inside of the camera. And because of this fixed element here, every one of these cameras is unique. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different types of 8mm cameras that exist. They started in the 30s and they went up to the 60s and even to the 70s, and then they went to Super 8, which we have a Super 8 camera that we'll show you too. So let's, the plate goes in like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to mount this sensor right here. This will be a little bit challenging. And so we're going to move this over here. And put this plate in. Put on the caps on tape. And least in this case, we can actually kind of line it up and see what we're doing. So we'll place it basically in its position, like so, and then we can take a look at it on this side and see the sensor's relationship to the film gate. And there we go, it's right about there. And it just moved. Hopefully we won't short it out again. These sensors run at about 100 degrees when they're up to speed. So we're using capstan tape to prevent it from melting anything. Now we're going to install this into the camera. And this particular camera, again, everyone is unique and has their own challenges associated with it. You can see here, there is the pin that goes into the film right there. There's a little pin right there. And it's a guide. And this is the shutter. And by the way, shutters. So I'm going to wind them up a little bit here. And then we're going to run it. You see there's the shutter. Now with the wind-up cameras, which these are all wind-ups, you wind it up. I won't wind it up too far. And then you run it until the shutter stops. And you get lucky with them, and the shutter will just stay open. And the other thing to do when you have the film plate in is you shoot a light through it, and you can see the light coming through, and then you know that the shutter is now open. The sensor is now installed into the turret camera here, and you can kind of see it's looking at the monitor right now. It's on the wide angle. We'll telephoto, I mean, put it to the wide angle here. Let's see, one more rotation, wherever that wide angle is. You can see the dirt on the sensor. One more. Okay, so see it's a little bit out of focus. So we're going to put a little bit of pressure on this sensor here, the tape. See if we can get the focus to come in. You can see the focus now, it's sharper. This requires a little bit more installation method to get this perfectly sharp as it could be. We're going from the 50s to the 60s. This is a 1964-65 Bauer Electric 5. So it's kind of a cool camera. You pull this handle down here, kind of have a pistol grip look to it. Electric. No winders. So we'll crack it open here, take a look inside, and we have the, remove the pressure plate. This over here. There's the film guide right there, so we can definitely do that thing. So with this camera, we're going to install the sensor, and I'll get some capstan tape here. The pull down for the pin is right here. Every camera design is different, so the challenges vary depending on what type of camera one's working with. Put this tape on here. We'll install the sensor. Now, the problem here is that we can't see what we're doing because the shutter, there we go, you see the shutter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a cable release on this. Cable release, isn't that cool? 1965 8mm camera with a cable release. So with the cable release set, I can keep the shutter running so we can see where the bloody thing's going to go. So let's check that out here. So we'll fire up the shutter and keep it running. You see the pins running, got to watch out for that. This could be an interesting little problem. Let's take a look at it, see what she looks like. Now this camera has a lens that focuses on it, so that's pretty cool. The downside is you're going to see the flickering from the shutter synchronizing against the CMOS shutter, so it's going to have a bar, as you can see. Ideally, if you wanted to do a full video conversion, you'd have to disassemble the camera and take the shutter out and get rid of all the electronics and just use it as a cosmetic video camera, basically. I'll get this positioned in here. Wow. Okay. See how that looks. Let's flip it up. Put my thumb on there to keep a little pressure on it. And I think I'm off my mark here. Adjust the focus. Try that again. Cut this for a second here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this tape design a little bit so that it's not coming in contact with the pin that's supposed to be pulling the film through the camera. And I'm going to adjust this one more time. Let's try it one more time. Let's see. There we go. Get it. This is like rubbing your head, patting your belly, and standing on one foot and chewing gum at the same time. And trying to do this live for this camera makes it even more challenging. Really persevere somehow. Where is it? Let's see it flicker. What the hell? Come on, baby. Get in there. There you are. It'll take a while. And there. We are in position. Hold it. Touch that pin. I could feel it on my finger. Still a little off. There we go. Alright. Finally. Check this out. Look at that focus. Cool. Zoom out. A little off center with the sensor, but you get the idea. Let's see if we can correct that a little bit. Interesting how the synchronization between the camera shutter and the video shutter, how it shifts. So zoom into that, focus on that. There we go. That is impressive. That is a pretty impressive little camera there. That is some good optics. Some experimentation may be required when you do this kind of stuff. Get that focused on that. Cool. We have light leaks as well, so that doesn't help. Yeah, 8mm video camera. Pretty cool. So the Super 8 camera, obviously Super 8 film, which is still, there's a few companies that you can get the film from. It comes in a cartridge, as you know. So what people have done is they've taken a Raspberry Pi Zero and they put it inside of this film case, and then it goes inside the camera. Pretty cool. It's like that, and then, you know, you've got a video camera made out of it. Focus. With the cable. Focusing, pushing button. No cable release on this. There might be a way to make this stay on all the time. I don't know. Here's this chart. Well, there you go. Fun stuff. This is a Kodak 8mm Model 20. It's the first consumer 8mm movie camera from 1934. It was patented in 1932. So the question is, can we convert this to a video camera? Or should we convert this to a video camera is the bigger question. Because, open it up here, you can see the technology in here is quite different than the other cameras we've looked at. We have a large sprocket here that the film drives around. It's actually a curve right here. The lens is right here, so the shutter system is somewhere right through here. And there is not really going to be a way to get this guy into here without some major disassembly of this system. So first prize goes to this camera right here, 1965 Bauer, zoom and focus capabilities. Does a great job for this process. So we'll probably do a more advanced installation for this guy and get it so that it works cool like a video camera. The one missing link here, and it's critically important, is once you install your imaging system into your cameras, how do you see what you're recording? Well, we have a solution for that we're experimenting with, and we'll show that to you right now. How about this monitor for remote shooting? Now you can see your output of your camera.